G'day guys, Andy Thomas here from Wolf on the Run. I don't know if I'm getting old, getting soft, getting what they call a wuss, a big suki lala, that's an Australian term. But I've gone out and I've gone and bought me some heated grips for the bike. A friend of mine, Jimmy, he put some on not long back and I was like, yeah, they'll probably give a little bit of a heat off, but I was so impressed and so yeah, we're going to install these. Alright guys, so first off I took this bracket off there. This is a handmade bracket that I made. This holds my remote control on for my drift camera, which I took that off because the mounting for this has to go on there, and we'll find some way to rearrange this bracket for the remote. But this is the kit. Bits and pieces. A tube of super glue, I suppose that's to glue them on. Left and right, and all the wiring harness and brackets and clips and whatever, and then obviously we have the control unit. So this varies in heat, I believe, so you go from 30% up to 100%, and it's also got like a battery saving mode, so if you turn off your ignition, even though it's wired direct to the battery, it realises there's no power coming to it, the engine's not running, and it shuts itself down. Which is a good idea, but yeah, I'll start stripping everything down. Alright, so first up I'm going to take off my bark buster ends. Oh yeah, they were tight. Not sure whether I have to take the whole bark buster off. We'll see. I'll speed up this bit because it's going to be a bit of a boring process just taking things apart, but because we've already put them on, so obviously you don't want to see how they come back apart. But yeah, I'll take it all apart, speed it all up, I'll film it while I'm doing it, and then we'll get to the stage where we're taking off these and yeah, getting ready to put the new ones on. Alright guys, I brought you around this side because I've just got the other one off. That weren't no problem. That came off before for me to get my cruise control on. But this one, it's a little bit tight. I can't get it off. So a little tip, if you've got one, is to get your airline, your compressor airline, stick it into the end. Turn the noisy bloody thing off and just blow it up. Basically pulls the glue off of there and expands it and comes off pretty easy. So there's a little tip for you. You probably know it, but yeah. Alright, next bit. Alright guys, so on the Oxfords they've got the name there, so that goes outwards to the front, because obviously there's a left hand and a right hand, so that goes to the front. We've got to get that on there. Hopefully it'll slip on easy enough, but we've got some super glue that's got to go behind it. We've also got to work this to see where that twists and make sure it doesn't catch your brake lever, make sure it's in the right position, and make sure we're not in our way. So we'll set that up, and yes, here we go. Alright guys, so I'm leaving all this old glue tape on, which will give me a little bit of a tighter fit, I reckon. That's pretty tight, it's not too bad. As you can see, it's turning the throttle, you see there, so that's just with a little bit on. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put glue all the way along it. I might just start from say there with a little line and then go a rim around there just to hold the end on rather than cake the whole lot. I don't reckon it's going to slip, so that will do. Alright, move you back there, take that back off, get the super glue. Make sure it doesn't run under my cruise control, because that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Can't stop now. Alright guys, I went into a bit of a panic mode then with the super glue I'd put on because I'd caught it and it stuck straight away. So what I had to do is just fold that back a little bit and give it a fair bit of a whack. So yeah, I've just set that now. It's the right distance. Just check you can see. From there, my throttle lock actually catches onto the grip inside. So that's on, that's locked on, that's locked off. So it's a little bit in the way there because obviously you have to catch that with your thumb. So I'm going to have to, sorry, can you see? That wire there just about misses the brake lever around that side. But then when it comes back here, it's in the way of my thumb to operate this throttle lock. But hopefully that will be open when I do operate the throttle lock. It's not going to be on closed revs when I operate it, so I'm going to be slightly out. So I should still be good. Okay, so now as you can see, I've got to get this on, but if with that rubber all the way back, that's going to bind when I tighten that up. So I've got to trim this back to the right position so when I tighten it up it's not binding there. So I'll have a play with that, do some measuring. Yeah, and we'll see. So I reckon it's about there, look, just so it don't bind. Probably a little bit more. I'll get some marks and measurements and I'll cut that off. Alright guys, so as you can see there, look, I trimmed the ring off originally and I've had to cut a little bit more off, so there's quite a bit you take off. Obviously the element's not in this part, but it's right on the edge of there now. When I put this on, there's a little bit of a gap between there. It just stops it binding, and that's what I'm after. It's a little bit rugged, but yeah, it'll still work. Alright guys, so that's both the throttle rubbers on, cables. As I say, that one's a little bit short, but at least it don't catch, so that's good. Yeah, so now we're going to put the wires in, put the mounting, the control panel on, and yeah, we'll go from there. Right, so I'm going to take this panel off here, and the theory is I'm going to get the wires behind there, down here, under the seat into my fuse board. So I'll just take these plastics off, and yeah, I'll get back to you when I start running the cables. Alright guys, so I've fed the wire through. As you can see, I cut the ends off. It's got a fuse on the end and it goes straight to your battery. I've cut off the terminal for the negative. That's the positive side. Obviously you got your fuse in there, but I've got this fuse box installed in here. He says, there you go. So what I'll do is I'll wire this into here, and then I'll put that fuse out of there into one of these spare sockets here, and I'll wire it direct. That obviously is if you're going straight to your battery, that gives you the fuse in line, whereas I say I've got this fixed block here for all my individual units, so I'll wire into that and I'll put the fuse into the corresponding socket that I wire to. So I fed all the wire through down the side of my tank, down the side of there, through there, underneath and back up. I've got the socket here. Let me just zoom you out. The socket's here, ready to go on, so I'll do all the connections that side and then hide and tie all that up. But I'll get that wired in and I'll come back to you. Alright guys, so there's my box of spaghetti. I've got a box there with all my neutrals in. It's gone into a connector. As you can see, all the neutrals go into one, and I've got one main one that's connected here to this bolt, which is a larger 6mm cable. There you can see the main supply into, one's the Anderson plug and one's direct from the battery, and then these all go off into the individual units. That's the one I've just connected on. I've left the fuse out for now until I connect it all in. So I'll mark that up with a bit of red tape showing that it's live. It's just a double black wire. But yep, alright, next part. Alright guys, so I avoided the boring bit. I've just put the sticky back foam in there and screwed the plate to there, ready to go onto here. They give you some longer bolts and spacers, so we have to take this out. Obviously that's going to upset all your mirror and your clutch and whatever, but we can realign that later on. There should be marks on there where it went, so you know you're going to be in the same place, same position to put it back. So we'll just undo these, take this off, and then line it up. As I say, I have got my bracket that I've got to look at for my remote control for this camera, the Elmic cam, which obviously is, yeah, it's got little lights on it, red and green. It tells you when you're recording, when you're not recording, and it's just on and off basically. You can change modes with it, but I don't bother. It's just basically, so you're not got to keep bending down, looking in the mirror. Is it on? Is it off? Am I recording? Am I not? So, yep, we'll find a place for that. Alright, so they give you these spacers, bolts with spacers. So that's going to have to go through there like that, then through there, then into there. Just touching my bark buster, but I'll get these nipped up, have a plate. Alright guys, I've got that nipped up as you can see, but this is my little remote control. It's just a bracket that I made that went on there and hooks on the top, and then the Velcro holds it on, and that just turned me on and off for the camera. But now I've got nowhere to mount the bugger, so I've got to re-look into this now. Alright guys, as you can see, it's gone. I decided to put it that side after all the messing around. This side, obviously, my camera I get on and off a little bit more than I do, or I will do these, so I thought I'll stick it that side. I've moved and altered the bracket a little bit so it's out of the way of my start-stop. So it's no dramas. It's a little bit twisted around, but yeah, I can get to that if I need to. So I've tucked all the wires in, cable tied them all up inside, all through there, brought it through there, and as I said earlier on, it's in here. I'll come around that side, and the fuse that was in that box, alright, so the fuse that was in there, I'll stick into there. Alright, so theoretically, press that, should work. There we go. So we've got greens 30%, 40, 50, 75, 100. And as I say, this battery saving mode, once it detects that there's no engine running, it's like a little smart thing and it'll automatically switch it off. So if you do leave it on, obviously you go down and then off, but if you do leave it on, it will automatically turn itself off after a while. There you go guys, there was $90, so the Oxford Adventure, $90, $15 postage. Yeah, can't go wrong. Keep me nice and toasty, as I said earlier. I don't know whether I'm getting old or what, but these little luxuries and comforts all come in handy. There you go. Alright guys, fantastic, there you go. As I say, I don't know if I am getting old. I'm warming up a treat now, by the way. But yeah, comforts, luxuries, yeah, sometimes we need them. Thanks guys, fantastic.